Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, dear Dharma practitioners, as human beings, from generation to generations, from civilization to civilizations, we look for freedom. All our final goal and the wish or the hopes are related to freedom. All the religions came to this world to show you the path to find the freedom. But mostly, when we look for the freedom, we like to get the help out of the society, out of the culture, tradition, believing systems. But the culture, tradition, or the believing systems mostly build out of the ideas. Listen this very carefully. So, any society or any culture or any tradition, any believing system don't want you to be free. The reason is they build out of the ideas. So what is an idea? Idea means a format or formulation of a thought. So structure or format of thoughts. That is an idea. So why the thoughts come to us? From where the thoughts bound? Thoughts bound to time. That is where the thoughts begins. Thoughts related to time. That is in a conventional level. And I will explain it to you in the spiritual level how it related your thoughts to the time. So thought related to time. Because of the time you have thoughts. There is no single thought in your mind not related to time. Do an experiment. Find something if it is possible. So the time when it related to the self, the time has three parts: past, present, and the future. And when the time related to you, so chronological time is past, present, and the future. And there is a psychological time. That psychological time arises when the I is there. I have this, I had this, I going to have it. So there are two methods of time: chronological time, psychological time. Chronological time, past, present, and the future. Psychological time related to the I. I had it, I have this, I going to have it. So all our thoughts bound to this method. So when the thoughts are there, when the time is there, and the thoughts going to be there. So once the thoughts and the time bound together, this always the self going to arise. So when the self arise, it needs something to depend. Otherwise, that without depending from anything, yourself cannot exist. When just the idea, just imagine the idea. That's when it comes to the self, that just take your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. All these six senses, how it depend. What is the purpose of eye? Closing it? No, it absorbing and inviting, and it's kind of like a magnet for all the colors and the pictures. So how about the ear? It's inviting to the sound. You cannot reject it. So because the self, the very nature of the self, depending. So once the self start to depend, so what happening? It is start to have the fear that you going to lose what you have. So see, time, and when it become centered with the thoughts, the self arise, and once the self arise is depending, and then because of that dependent nature you have the fear. So because of the fear you start to believe. To believe something you have to go back to the society. What is the society means? Like us, who we are before you come here, whatever exists around you is the society. So then you go back to it. But the society depend on ideas. So the what is the ideas? So what is an idea? Idea mean format of formula of a thought. See, you look for the freedom, you like to liberate, but to liberate yourself, you go back again to the same circle. And then you keep going with it, keep going with it. And because of that, you cannot get out of. Look at the Buddha's time, and he completely built very brand new kind of society that's called Sangha. During that time, there were many kind of people. There used to be many methods, but he built up very brand new society. That society not bound to ideas. That is where that's why when you look for freedom, you get into the Sangha. Why? Because in that community of the Sangha, in that circle, you're not bound to ideas, or you're not bound to culture, you're not bound to tradition. So if you go back to the ordinary society, look the very nature of the ordinary society, and take any from any timeline, take a part of the society and look yourself. You have this everything today with the internet, and you can research yourself. You can see the society bound to ideas, the law, culture, tradition, this everything man-made ideas. So idea mean formula or format of a thought or thoughts. So that is where we hold. That is where we coming from. That is who we are. That recognizing that is very important for you if you look for liberation, if you look for freedom. Why? Because if you look for freedom, don't look from help from the prison. So to get into that, what you have to do? The very important thing, rather than developing a dependent idea, you come to a very single moment of just pure organic experience. That is what called vipassana. Without depending on ideas, you come to a point of just a single moment of pure organic experience. That is what called vipassana. So getting to that, you have to little by little, clean that all the ideas, concept, or the believing that everything we carry in our life. But give up that things is not easy. It is very difficult. But if you can do something great yourself, look at the world. If we look at the material way, you can build many things in the world, huge construction product. You can, like Hoover Dam, like Australia Opera Theatre, Eiffel Tower. You can build up, huge kind of construction. You can do construction project, and even you can go to moon. You can have a project to go to Mars, but out of this all, most difficult, heavy, hard construction product is rebuild our human nature. Rebuild yourself, becoming, renew yourself. Why? Because you are full of habits. You cannot let go this anything. You hold it to this everything. So you think holding to these things is best for you and you're going to be okay, you're going to secure with this. Why? Because we are self-centered and we always afraid to let go and we afraid to become free. That's why we developing dependent nature. So this is human behavior. So we have to understand it is within us. We cannot let go everything and just become empty. I give a very simple example. So when you change your cloth, as normally children become completely naked, and then you change the cloth. But when you become matured, when you become adult, you get the wisdom. You can change the cloth without becoming naked. So as monks, when we become a monk, and once we put the cloth, from the day we become monk, and then we not until we get into high ordination, we have to keep this robe in our body. We cannot have be naked. So then our high priest, our elder brother monks teach us how we can change. You have to be very conscious, because it can just slip away. It's go away. So you sometimes you have, even when we going to have shower, we put the belt on our neck and change our undergarment. Why? In case it's dropped down, at least the belt in our neck. So like that. So you know yourself. When you become adult, you get the wisdom. Listen this very carefully. You get the wisdom to change the cloth without becoming naked. So when you become an adult, if you become naked, it's deeply effect. It is a psychologically you hurt. Until if it is not a secure place. That's why, as you know, in a public place, when people punish for others, sometimes one of the major thing what they does, they try to take out their clothes. Why? Because it psychologically deeply affect for people. So there is a spiritual way also. That's why I want to take you. So what you know, from there to what you don't know. So what we believe in is kind of like our cloth. So you cannot let go that. Just as an idea, we can say, oh, it's okay, or do this, or like that. But deeply, what we know, what we bring by the culture, tradition, we cannot let go that anything. We hold it to that. Why? Because that is where we get protection. That is where we get the security for ourselves. That is why we exist like this. So that's why when somebody come and try to, the change ideas that the other people say it is very bad, you should not do that to people. So because sometimes it's going to become a danger. If somebody have power to change others' ideas, it's going to become harm for the society. So this believing is what we hold. What I want to tell, it's like your garments. So the Buddha taught a method that you can change the garment without becoming naked. So you can change what you believe to practice without having the fear. That is what called meditation. So look at the Buddha's time. Whoever came to Buddha has any questions, even sometimes for debate, or maybe they want to clarify something, or maybe without knowing anything, or maybe they used to know something else completely opposite. When they come to Buddha, when they have the conversation, so the Buddha accept that everything, and mostly Buddha said, oh, that also right. But at the same time, there is something like this also. And then the Buddha explain it in a different way. So that person become more comfortable. Why? What he believed is Buddha accept. Then he becomes secure and he feel protection in front of the Buddha. And then not only that, and the Buddha develop it to a higher place and giving something higher than what he hold. So that way it's kind of like a changing the psychological garment without making that person naked. Remember that. That is as parents, as a husband, wife, as children, remember that yourself. If you want to have a very conventional life without having disturbed to other people, you know, even if you want to deeply nourish with the spirituality, practice that. Why? Because mostly we try to naked other people in front of us psychologically, as a husband, as wife, as children, as parents, brothers, sisters, friends, and family members. Even sometimes when people gather, look, we like to naked other people psychologically. Why? Because we know it's deeply harmful for other people. But if you are a Buddha's follower, remember from today, never do that. Always remember, never go against someone's believing. Appreciate it. Respect that. Respect it to something is doesn't mean, you know, you're going to follow it. Even just as ideas in a family. The very first thing, as sometimes as parents, if you want to change the children's ideas, and sometimes you cannot suddenly say, no, you are wrong, you are idiot, you cannot do this, you cannot remember this, why you do this mistake again and again. So like that, we like to naked other people. Don't do it. Give some space. Why? Because things happens because of many reasons, not only one reason. But our point of view, we can see only one reason. Maybe that is not the reason from the other side. So when you practice vipassana, remember, you come to a like that bird eye view. You come to a point to sharpen and clear and expand your view beyond your self-centered idea or the mind. But we bound to that again and again, again and again, we bound to this nature. Why? Because we depending from thoughts. Why the thought arise in us? Because of the comparison with our own ideas. So then I start from the beginning relating with the time. So how the time related to the thoughts and how it related to spirituality, or how it related to your purification. This is where it start. When it comes to purification of our life, we have to get out of the greed, hatred, and the delusion. All the sansara existence depend on the greed, hatred, and the delusion. So what is the greed means? So it's called in another way, raga, dvesha, and the moha in Pali. Raga, dvesha, moha. Raga means greed or the lust or the desire. Dvesha or the anger or the hatred. The moha or the ignorance, not knowingly reasons. So, how the raga arise? Why the raga arise? Why the greed or the desire arise? Listen this. When you see something, when you hear something, when you smell something, if you taste something, or if you feel somebody or something, or if any idea come, if you take it as good, that is where raga arise. So whatever the perception come to your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, if you take it as good, oh, this is nice, oh, adding more positive things to it, and holding with the idea this is good, that is where the raga or the greed or the desire arise. So where the anger arise? So whatever the perception come to us with our eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, if you don't like it, and that is where the anger or the hatred arise. So that is the beginning point. So the moha, how the moha arise or the ignorance arise? What is the ignorance? From where it come? This is where you have to be sharp. So when something come to you, how you took it as good, or when something came to you, how you decide it as bad. Because in this very moment, in the present moment, so whatever happened, there is no good or no bad. So in this very moment of you, there is no good, there is no bad. So, but once you going to take something as bad or good, you need something. What you need? You need your past experience. Without past experience, you cannot take anything as bad. Or you need the future hopes. Without that, you cannot take anything as good. So without past and the future, in the present moment, whatever happened to you, you cannot take it as good or bad. So then, so we're talking about how the ignorance arise. What is the ignorance? Where the ignorance arise? So when something happened to you, so in that very moment, to take this as good, I have to compare it to whatever happened in the past. That comparison is come out of thinking, oh, I had something in the past. So that idea is called ignorance. So when something come to you, if you don't like something in that very moment, that to happen that dislike, you have to compare it to something happened in the past. So that something happened in the past related to you, is that idea is called ignorance. Why? Because this is not this, there is no something called self-related that exists without changing. So in the past, if you had experience, as example, this we take this kind of like sweet water. So in this very moment, when we drink it, oh, it's so good. So how that so good came, not in the moment of experience, that good come, my mind, I compare it to whatever in the past. That's why very next things after good, mostly it look like. So you use this word every day, you know. So that comparison come, oh, yesterday, or last year, 10 years ago, I had. So I had that. So that is that believing that you had it, it called ignorance. And this keep happening. This keep happening. Now see, in the present moment of the experience, once it bound to past or the future, the like dislike arise. See, past and the future related to the, what is it called, time. So but in this very moment, if you experience something, it is, there is no time. There is no such a thing called, in deeply, there is no such a thing called present moment. But once we solidify, once we format something with the experience in this very moment, we take that moment as present moment. And from there, we go to past and the future. And that is where always the greed, hatred, and the delusion with going to be with us. So this going to be with us, it because it's mentally, deeply, psychologically, we bound to this. Psychologically, we bound to ideas. So then in the vipassana level, you get out of the ideas. And in the vipassana level, you get out of the time. Because when it comes to the clear present moment of experience, it not belong to good or bad, it not belong to time. So the clock that what we see today as this material clock or this numerical clock is actually from the beginning of the clock, and they introduced this to measure your life and the behavior and track your habitual patterns and get out of it. But today it just became a part of this material world. But the clock, if you look very carefully, that is the bridge, bring the psychological life to material life. So in between this, so what you see always as a clock, remember it is your life. So life means it is your thoughts and it is your samsara. So in Buddhism, there is a word called klesha. So there are three kind of klesha. Klesha means raga, dosa, moha, mental formations. So the klesha means kala. Klesha means time. So the kalena dhamma savanam, kalena dhamma sakaccha. So kalena means you have to kalena dhamma savana, you have to listen to dhamma to destroy the mental formations. Not at the right time, not that mean. So it means you have to listen to dhamma to destroy your mental formations or the klesha. Kalena dhamma sakaccha, you have to discuss the dhamma. Mostly people think it is at the right time you have to discuss the dhamma. No, you have to discuss the dhamma to destroy or get out of the mental formations or the klesha or greed, hatred, or the delusion. So the kala means thoughts. Kala means mental formations. Timing means your mental formations. So once you recognize that, what you have to do? raga, dvesha, moha, greed, hatred, or the delusion. I'll give a very simple technique if you can practice. When something come to you, when you recognize it is as a good or bad, so mostly we depending on this both. Just take it as a single moment of experience without letting it go to your past or the future. You can do it. Only thing is you have to have the intention to to allow it not to jump the timeline and stay in the present moment. When somebody blaming to you, without comparing to past, oh yesterday also did this, day before yesterday also did it, so like that, just keep listening to the blaming. You're going to see it's kind of like a beautiful song that you never heard. Try it. You're going to see how deeply you can get into that person deeper mental formations. So when you see something, even when you see a movie, so when you watch that movie, if you are able to watch it without going to past or the future, you start to see something that hidden in that movie, you can go beyond that movie. So even the taste, when you taste something, without comparing it to anything, just get into that taste, you will see your entire body. It's like a showering, having the shower, having a cold shower, your entire body get nourished from that single moment of taste. That's the beauty. That is where you're going to experience the real life. This is not life. So this life is a struggle, but the real power of the human life is experiencing, not struggling. But mostly what happened to us, we drop that art on the way. Now we get into the struggle and we lose the life. We have to find it. You cannot find it outside. Why? The culture, society, the religion, believing this everything, bound by the ideas to find that. So then if you go to that, you follow the idea. Then what you have to do? Go into you. Go into your experience. Moment of experience without comparing, without jumping to past or the future, without comparing to past or the future experience. Just be in the moment. In that very moment, you will catch the beauty of life, and that is where you're going to experience the real meaning of life. Once you recognize that, that will help you to transform your life from this conventional to liberation. So with that, I bless upon everyone with this good practice. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you, may no difficulties come to you, may no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. During this time period, may everyone stay healthy and safe. And finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbityo vivajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavatantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava. Ettavata cha ammi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idam me punya kammang asavakkaya vangotu. Sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless you.